So for those of you who have BPD, when did you disclose your diagnosis to your partner and what did you say?
I remember very specifically like where it was. I can't say when it was. I think it was maybe like
a month in.
You think a month in? I was thinking like 3 months in.
Oh, okay. I think it was sprinkled. Okay.
It might have been sprinkled for sure. I definitely eased my way into it, just like dropping little things of like, oh yeah, like I wasn't doing well. Even just like earlier this year, she knew about the program that I'd done, maybe not to the lengths of what it was, but like how I really wasn't doing well and needed to get this help. And then, I just remember one day specifically just like explicitly saying it and then kind of giving like backstory to different like examples of where it's been more present in my life, different stories, and then currently kind of how it affects me.
I think the first time anything was mentioned was like maybe a third date, and I was asking where Bella was at. I was having a great time, and I was like, is she feeling the same way? And she was like, I just want to take things really slow and make sure that I'm doing this for the right reasons. And then I'm like, I don't know, preserving yourself almost. I can't remember the exact words, but it was definitely like a boundary of like, we're going to take this slowly kind of thing. And I remember that happening like very early on.
Yeah, definitely.
I can so relate to what you said, Bella, about getting the diagnosis like fairly recently, like a similar time as yours. But yeah, for us, we were already together because we've been together 12 years. 12 years! So I found out from the psychiatrist, so 2.5 years ago, so already almost 10 years into the relationship when I found out. And he was the first person I told.
So for me, it was really important to at least disclose that there was something going on with me on the first date because I had just started DBT and I also had this mindset of, I was like, I'm 28. One of my goals is to have kids. And so I was kind of like, I need to lay out my main cards on the table from the get-go because I don't have time to waste with somebody who's not on the same page. And I don't think I used the words borderline personality disorder on day one, but I did say that I had an emotion dysregulation disorder. And so that meant that my emotional responses to things were not necessarily going to be at the level of an average person. And I think I even disclosed that I was going through DBT. I actually don't have any idea when I started using the words borderline personality disorder, but I think as soon as I felt comfortable that I could trust him, I started being more direct about what my diagnosis actually was. The reason I didn't use those specific terms from the get-go was mostly just because I didn't want him to go like Google borderline personality disorder and after day one of not really knowing me and, the first things you see on a Google result, which are not necessarily the best. So for partners, do you remember what your reaction was when you heard?
Yeah, I can still remember the time when Solène told me the diagnosis, and I think my reaction was a couple of things. One was, what can I do to help? That was my instant reaction. If there was anything I can do, I wanted to learn more about it, so then I can understand and be a supportive partner. And just trying to understand my role going forward in terms of Solène's kind of recovery journey, whatever that looked like. So I was kind of, I'm here, all in.
I think I remember I just asked Bella a lot about it and when she first used the words. And then I do remember like bringing it up to my therapist, just kind of being like, here's what I've learned. And I think similar to Andy, what can I do with this now? Or how can I help her? Hearing more about it from like someone who knew me. Yeah, I think she just helped frame it in a way that helped me understand it a little bit better. And just talking a lot with Bella about it and asking questions, I think helped.
I conducted some research and looked up DBT, and I actually took some classes on my own to see what Xannie needed to go through and how I might be able to help in reinforcing or helping her learn the right skills.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Do you remember what you thought like on that day when I was like, I have an emotion dysregulation issue? Do you remember what you thought about that at the time?
I just remember the sushi.
So, you know, it clearly...
I'm very food focused. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like a canine. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you've got food in front of me, I don't really know much else going on. So,
Well, I think that's actually kind of great that it didn't even really phase you. You're just like, okay, cool. We're eating sushi. This is great.
In that moment and reflecting on it, helped me kind of understand, because we were been together for a long time, and it was only a couple of years ago we got diagnosed. It helped me kind of think about why in the past we had reacted and felt differently to situations. So it helped me kind of understand certain things in the past. So yeah, that was...
It's like a penny drop moment.
Yeah. That was why you thought that way.
That's
Well,
why she flies off the handle sometimes.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice. Polite.
Well, so that brings up an interesting question then, you know, since you have spent most of your relationship not knowing, what was that like? How did you conceptualize what was going on before you knew that it was BPD?
So we did talk about it today because we were wondering about the same thing, and we were like, do you actually remember the before? But there is this misconception that BPD means you're always in crisis, but I wasn't always in crisis. Like, there were moments in life, depending on what was happening, where I wasn't very symptomatic in my behaviors. And so those moments felt really natural, and there wasn't like a lot of surprises, I think. But where we saw it quite a lot is, for example, like when I moved to China for a couple of years and you were living in the UK, every time that he would visit or I would visit and then we would split again, that fear of abandonment would kick in like a massive, massive way. Like, he would be like sad, like, I'm gonna miss you. And I would be like, I can't breathe when you're not there, and like, please stay, and like beg him to stay. And so I think in some moments like that, and then in Australia when I had started to have really big symptoms of like suicidal ideation and more self-harm episodes and things like that, then, you know, and obviously that then led to the diagnosis when COVID happened and we came back to the UK. But yeah, I think there was moments where it was very asymptomatic and then moments where it was really intense.
Yeah.
But you said you always knew that was different. I always knew that was different, but I just didn't have a name for it.
There's always something there, kind of, in moments that I thought, yeah, it was different, whether it was whatever, you know, whatever it was. But yeah, just in how we reacted in different situations, and then it happened more and more, and then it became a pattern. So, okay, it's not a one-off, but what is it? Yeah. So
yeah. And we talked, it was about emotions mainly. Like the intensity and the fluctuation of my emotions seemed so drastically different to his. But you've always calmed me down, so that's good.